Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Grizzly, and today we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into the impending court date between the Petitos and the Laundries. Let's get started. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and joining me here today. As you may know, unless you are brand new here, then welcome to the Grizzly community. If you're already a Grizzly, you may have seen that we did a full read through on the lawsuit that was filed from the Petitos against the Laundries. Now, what we've learned recently is that Judge Hunter W. Carroll has scheduled a mandatory case management conference in Sarasota County in the court for June 30th at 1:30 p.m. So put that in your calendar because we need to keep watching the news, especially on that day, just to see what happens. We don't know yet if this meeting between the two families will be on Zoom or not. I would assume it would be on Zoom. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be in person? Like, will they have to go there in person? I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be on Zoom, and I wonder how much of it we are going to be able to see. If you did miss the read-through that we did, I will link that episode below. But what we learned there, oh my word, was that, according to the Petitos, Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby Petito on August 27th. On August 28th, he phoned his parents and told them what he had done. On the same day, they called their lawyer, Stephen Bertolino. By September 2nd, they'd paid him a retainer. Of course, Brian Laundrie arrived home by September 1st. Then, on September 6th and 7th, the family, as in the Laundries, went camping in Fort DeSoto. Now, I'm still going to give full credit there to Dog the Bounty Hunter. Oh my word, he's the one that found out for all of us. They camped at Fort DeSoto. I mean, that was shocking. I wonder if we would have known if he didn't go out there and find that information, which I think was from the campground itself. He was like, how long were they here? How many people checked in? How many people checked out? Remember that. So the Petitos' lawsuit is also saying that while they were suffering and looking for Gabby and looking for answers, this family went camping. They had s'mores around the campfire. Nice little chat. Whoa. We also, of course, learned that Brian Laundrie was sending text messages between his phone and Gabby Petito's phone, pretending that she was still alive. Oh, man, if we ever see those texts, I think it's going to shock us what he would have said, because I believe he would have simulated a fight, a breakup type of scenario, which is scary to think about his mental state in doing that. Of course, we also know that he drove her van home and updated his Spotify playlist. I always say that because it was love songs. It was love songs and a whole bunch of other strange song choices given the circumstances. If you missed that as well, I will link that below as well, so you can check out his Spotify playlist updates around the date that he was driving home. So now, after all of that, the Laundries were served. Yep, you got served. Just when we thought the case had kind of died down and was closed, and we had to accept that Brian Laundrie had unalived himself in the Mayakahachi Creek Environmental Park, actually closer to the Big Slough Preserve, and that his parents, after the FBI had been searching for over a month for Brian Laundrie in that area, and yes, there was some flooding, as they say, and all that, but the Laundries entered that park. Within 20 minutes, found their son's stuff. They found the dry bag. I don't believe that they actually found the remains, but they were walking, and then they, as I say in South African terms, clapped it to the right, which means they hit it to the right. And then they found his dry bag, and then they called the FBI and the police officers who were with him, and they found Brian Laundrie's remains, which were then sent off for testing, and we went through that entire medical report. Remember that? That was extensive, and we also learned a lot there. Now, after all this and everything we've accepted, we were like, it doesn't really feel like justice. So I think that the Petitos filing this lawsuit is very much to begin the process of justice. I know that they've only filed for $100,000 in damages, which doesn't sound like much given this case. This is a huge, internationally renowned now case. Documentaries have been made out of it. Documentaries are still being made out of it. I'll be featuring in the ITN one, which will be in the UK. Once I know where I've been featured and how, I will let you guys know or show you what I can see. But to think that this case is so huge and that's all they filed for, does that not prove that this is not a money grab? I mean, some people have accused them of that, which I don't understand, because I don't think it's a money grab. If it was, they would have sued them for $5 million or something, which would be totally valid given the case. So I think this is to really start a process of getting more and more information about the Laundries and what Brian really did out, which will be a form of justice, because we already know it's bad. I mean, the Laundries couldn't really make themselves look any worse. However, the Petitos can activate them looking even worse, because we're going to find out even more. I mean, knowing that Brian called his mama to tell her what he had done to Gabby, allegedly, according to the lawsuit filed. Oh man, so they knew all along. We knew they knew, but now we know that they knew. That is shocking to think of how they behaved that entire time. Oh my word. So yes, it will be Joe Petito, Nicole Schmidt, Christopher Laundrie, Roberta Laundrie, meeting up on June 30th at 1:30 p.m. and that would be, of course, Eastern Standard Time. So that for me will be somewhere in the evening. I'll be excited to see any coverage of that. I don't know if it'll be covered. I'm assuming that maybe WFLA, JB, Brian Enton might actually be there outside court. Maybe they'll capture them going into court and out of court if they're going to be there physically. If not physically, it'll probably be on Zoom, and I do wonder if we'll be able to watch that. What do you think? Drop your comments below. So the way they word it is, as with civil case protocol, Judge Carroll is requiring the two parties to meet and confer on the complaint filed by Petito's parents, Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt, before they meet in court. Of course, Stephen Bertolino, the Laundrie attorney, has said that the Petitos' claims are baseless. But if they were baseless, would they really go to all this effort? I really think they've got something on them. They must have some hard evidence or really something to prove that, which I believe is from the FBI's investigations, because they spent so much time in the FBI's offices going over everything that they found and knew. I think that's what they've got, is hard evidence from the FBI to actually sue them. Now, the question begs, why are they not being sued for or charged with obstruction of justice? Because just thinking that Brian allegedly admitted that he murdered Gabby Petito, his mom and dad were like, come on home, son. You drive that van home. We'll help you out. And on the same day, call Stephen Bertolino, and this was August 28th. So to just think that Brian Laundrie probably called them while he was hiking along the Snake River or just before, so that he could, I mean, maybe that was their idea. How do we know? Because that's weird to do, to tell them and then hike to Colter Bay Village, and then hitchhike with two different rides, be asked to be dropped off at the gate, walk back to camp, get in the van, and drive home. That's interesting, even though the Petito lawyer has alluded to Brian Laundrie leaving Wyoming on August 30th. Okay, so I was always thinking he left in the evening on August 29th, so he could have still kind of left Wyoming just after midnight. But what if he left on August 30th? That's another whole thing. Then where did he sleep on August 29th? My word, if we could all just be a fly on the wall. I do have merch that says fly on the wall if you want that. Some people have requested that, so if you're interested in my fly on the wall merch, you could check that out as well on my merch store. But to think that Brian Laundrie, I don't know what he was doing on the 29th besides updating his Spotify playlist and then driving home, that long drive home back to Florida. The parents were like, come on, son, we'll help you out. And then the Petitos have also said that they were trying to help him get out of the country. That to me sounds like this is the perfect case for charges for obstruction of justice. So why wouldn't there be that charge? I can only imagine that, I don't know what to imagine. I can only imagine that it's because maybe they helped the FBI find Brian Laundrie's remains. Maybe they didn't have enough DNA evidence on Gabby Petito's remains to actually charge Brian Laundrie with a murder, because that would have to be official to then charge them with obstruction of justice. You know what I mean? So maybe they would have been charged if he was still alive. And if they had caught him, charged him with murder, then the parents could be charged with obstruction of justice. So it's either that. Remember, I'm in no way a legal anything. I don't know exactly how that would all work. I'm just kind of working through it in my mind and thinking out loud with you. Please drop your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts of why you believe they were not ever charged with obstruction of justice, because it seemed like they should be. So it's either that he would need to be found alive, charged with murder for them to be charged with obstruction of justice, or it would be that they entered some sort of plea deal with the FBI and took them literally to where they knew Brian Laundrie would be, which is also interesting. How did they know? Anyway, so there's all of that. So we'll keep our eye on it to see what happens. I mean, June 30th actually sounds very far away. This case is already like, we've all invested so much of our time, of course, willingly, because it's like, what? Like, you just can't believe all the layers in this case. But it feels like very far away. Don't you think? So let's see what happens between now and then. I mean, I hope the case doesn't get dismissed or that something doesn't interrupt this. I also hope that it actually does go ahead, that there will be a trial. That will be so amazing. And if there is, do you really think that Roberta and Christopher Laundrie will speak? Because I just highly doubt it. I feel like their lawyer will speak for them. The other question that I have is, if Bertolino is a lawyer in New York, then how will he be representing them or speaking for them as he likes to do in this case? You know what I mean? I think they're going to have another lawyer, not because when they filed those claims for Brian Laundrie's estate to be put into their name, the $20,000 or so, which also, why was that suddenly in his account? Did that get put in his account after he got home, or was it always in his account? That's the other question. Oh my word. I know that we've spoken about that before, and it could have been some sort of inheritance. But still, when they filed that claim, there was a different lawyer's name relating to their case because, of course, they're in Florida and Bertolino is in New York. So I don't know how that all works, but do you think that Bertolino will be representing them or not? Let me know in the comments below. The Petitos have also said in their lawsuit that they believe that the Laundries were trying to help Brian leave the country. I would love to know, like, were they getting his passport ready or not? And where was he going to go? Where do you think? Was he going to Canada? Was he going to Mexico? Was he going to... Wait, we've actually speculated quite a few places. Remember when we were like, where is he? Oh, those days. Oh, my word. So, yeah, I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Let me know where you think that they were going to send Brian Laundrie and what happened to have this end in him ending his own life in the reserve. What happened? What stopped the process of him actually successfully leaving the country? That's what I want to know, because clearly he was successfully hiding out there for a bit, right? Is it that? My personal belief is he went out there around the 13th, right? I say around because sometimes they say the 13th, the 14th. I mean, the car came back on the 15th. But from what I know, he left the house on September 13th. Now, that was 2 days after Gabby Petito was officially reported missing. It was also 3 days after Roberta Laundrie had blocked Gabby Petito's mother, her phone calls and her on Facebook. So that was interesting. My word, so inappropriate. But he had left, at first they said on foot, and then they said in the Mustang. I still want to know exactly which one was it, because they initially said he left on foot to go to the reserve. But the thing is, he left, went out there on the 13th. They found Gabby Petito's remains on the 19th. So if we look at the medical report of how his remains were found, very decomposed, which can happen with the Florida heat. It can happen, of course, with the amount of water that was there at the time, with the flooding and all that. However, so that would make us think that it's like, let's go back as far as possible, like he went out there on the 13th and unalived himself. But we know that he packed a tent and flares and his little box of things, photos, all kinds of stuff. So it does seem like he was going out there kind of on a mission to unalive himself. Or was he out there with these photos and things to, I don't know, hide out and stay sane during that time? And then my personal belief is, I know that was very long-winded, that he may have heard whether, I don't know if he had a phone there or what they, just because they didn't mention that there was a phone in the bag, we don't know what else was in the bag. They mentioned on that report most, or if not everything, that was found there with his remains. But what all was found specifically in the bag, just because they don't mention it, like the gun before, they didn't mention that his gun was found there. So we thought there was no gun there, but there was. They just didn't mention it. So maybe now they're not mentioning that there was actually a burner phone there, because remember he went on September 4th to buy a burner phone with his mother. there was footage of that. So, wow, to think of this whole timeline, my word, the actions that they took a lot of actions. The point is, he did go and buy another phone, which we all call the burner phone. He probably took that out there with him. And I think that when he found out, oh no, they found Gabby Petito's remains, that is the point at which he decided to unalive himself. Reason being, he knew that was it, over for him. There's no way he was going to get out of this. I think he was hoping the whole time that they wouldn't find her remains at all, especially with all the wildlife out there and how he left her out there and all of that, just from the little bit we know. So when they actually did find her remains, especially because Red, White and Bethune provided that video of like, yeah, we saw the van. That was a huge clue. It really narrowed down the area of where to look for Gabby, and they found her. I think for him, that was it, like game over. Now, still the question begs, why did he use his non-dominant hand to unalive himself? My personal belief is to confuse people. I think. I know it's a very morbid moment for him. It's a very important shot to take. However, I feel like he would want to minimize the humiliation, or to leave a little bit of a door open for a theory of someone else helping him do it, or someone else doing it. It might also make his mom say like, no, like he wouldn't do that, so someone else must have done it. You know what I mean? Sometimes people do funny things in moments like that. We can't really always understand why. I mean, obviously it's normal to use your dominant hand, but we don't know what he was doing with his dominant hand. That is also the question which we've speculated before. Likely holding a picture, or the phone, or who knows what. We don't know, you know? So anyway, the point is, the court proceedings will be starting, and the families are going to meet. And oh man, if it's in person, ooh, can you imagine Gabby Petito's dad meeting the Laundries in person? I feel like Gabby Petito's mom would be very emotional and probably have a lot of tears, a lot of frustration and anger, sure, but a lot of sadness, right? But Joe Petito, I feel like don't mess with him. He's going to be so angry. Of course, naturally, totally valid. But man, if I could be a fly on that wall as well. Anyway, so I'm excited to hear what you think about all of this. I just wanted to report on this as well. I know we all kind of know that this is happening. We could see it on the news, but you know, I've covered the case at length, and I also wanted to just share some of my own thoughts and things, and also invite you to share your thoughts. So if you are brand new here, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. Hit the bell so that you know when I'm next either going live or when I'm next uploading. And if you're already a Grizzly, then you know what to do. All you can do now is leave your DNA on the thumbs up, comment below, share this if you can. There's also this really cool feature where you can share clips now. So if you go to the bottom there, that little bar with all the options of what you can do, there's a little thing called clips. So if you hit that, and it will open a pop-up window, you just name the clip, like say, I don't know, Grizzly's update on the court date or something. You can share that little clip on everywhere on social media. You can join us over on Reddit. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, I believe, just not Instagram. Funny enough, the clips. But I hope you will share this episode. I hope you'll share a clip with me, tag me in it, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.